Bonjour! Welcome to our next lesson 16 video. So I told you in the last video that this one was going to be focused on more of a grammar situation, and it is. So we talked in the last two lessons about preceding direct object pronouns, right? Me, te, nous, vous, le, la, les, right? So direct object pronouns that go before the verb in a sentence. So we're going to learn two more pronouns that go in front of the verb this lesson. They are not direct object pronouns, they are indirect object pronouns, and I'll show you what I mean by that. So the two pronouns are lui and leur. Lui and leur. They basically mean to him or to her or to them. So in context here, tu parles à Jean-Paul. Tu parles à Jean-Paul. Oui, je lui parle. Oui, je lui parle. Okay. You're talking to Jean-Paul? Yes, I'm talking to him. To him. Okay? Essentially, lui and leur just replace anytime in a sentence where it's à plus a person or people. It's another example. Tu téléphones à Christine? Non, je ne lui téléphone pas. You're calling Christine? No, I'm not telephoning her. Remember in French, the word to call, it's téléphoner à, to call to someone, to phone to someone. Another example, tu écris à tes copains? Tu écris à tes copains? Oui, je leur écris. You're writing to your friends? Yes, I am writing to them. Okay, so Tu rends visite à tes cousines? Tu rends visite à tes cousines? Non, je ne leur rends pas visite. Non, je ne leur rends pas visite. You're visiting your cousins? No, I am not visiting them. Okay, so you can see here, just like me, te, nous, vous, le, la, les, lui and leur go directly in front of the verb. Even in a negative sentence, they have to go directly in front of the verb, so ne, pas goes around the pronoun and the verb. So basically, indirect object pronouns, lui and leur, replace à plus nouns that represent people. So you can see here, names, those are nouns that represent people, or tes copains, tes cousines. We're talking to people, we're referring to people there, so that's why we use lui and leur. Now, unlike le and la, lui is the only one for the singular third person. So whether or not it's Jean-Paul or Christine, a man or a woman, it's always lui. So no difference. All right, let's look at some more of these. So some verbs, before we look at them, some verbs are more likely to have indirect objects than others. Some verbs don't have them at all. So I'm going to show you some verbs in French that very often have an indirect object so that you would use lui or leur in a sentence with them. First is écrire. So learned it last video. Écrire à, to write. To, right? So if you're writing to a person, j'écris à ma cousine. I'm writing to my cousin. J'écris à ma cousine. Or you could just say je lui écris. I'm writing to her. Right? So lui is replacing à ma cousine. Then Parler à. Parler à. So, to speak, to. Je parle à mon prof. Je parle à mon prof. I'm talking to my teacher. Or, je lui parle. I'm talking to him. Then, rendre visite à, right? Rendre visite à, to pay a visit to. Nous rendons visite à nos amis. We are paying a visit to our friends. Or, nous leur rendons visite. We are visiting them. Then, répondre à. Répondre à. Les élèves répondent au prof. Les élèves répondent au prof. The students answer the teacher, or respond to the teacher. Or, il lui répond. They answer him, or they respond to him. This is one of the ones that in English, we don't say answer to someone. I don't answer to a student. I answer a student's question, right? But in French, répondre is followed by à, just like téléphoner. Which is the next one. Téléphoner à. Stéphanie téléphone à Eric. Stephanie calls, or is calling, Eric. Elle lui téléphone. She is calling him. She is calling to him. Okay, so in addition to these, there are more verbs that often have an indirect object, but that also will have a direct object. I'll show you what I'm talking about. So, acheter à. Acheter à. So I could buy a book, right? And in that case, book is my direct object. It's what I am buying. But if I am buying a book for someone else, like I buy a book for my brother, then my brother is an indirect object, right? So in French, you don't say to buy something for someone, you buy to them, à, to or at them. So, for example, Madame Masson achète un vélo à son fils. Madame Masson achète un vélo à son fils. So, Madame Masson is buying a bike for her son. Okay? So the à son fils is what we can replace with lui. Elle lui achète un vélo. Elle lui achète un vélo. She buys him a bike. Now, you might be thinking, Miss Harris, you taught us le la les so that we can replace direct objects, right? So we could say she buys it for him. What do I do when I have two of them? That's a great question. We're not worried about it right now. That'll be the next video. Next one, next verb that takes a direct object and an indirect object sometimes. Demander. Demander à. To ask for. Like to ask for. Philippe demande 10 euros à son fils. Philippe demande 10 euros à son fils. Philippe asks for 10 euros from his son. Right, so if we're going to replace à son fils, go with lui, il lui demande 10 euros. He asks him for 10 euros. Okay, also have dire. Dire à. One of the new ones you learned last video. To tell or to say. So, je dis toujours la vérité à mes parents. Je dis toujours la vérité à mes parents. Okay, I always tell the truth to my parents, right? À mes parents. we know we're going to use leur because it's plural. So, je leur dis la vérité. I tell them the truth. Then, we've got donner, donner à, to give. So, Thomas donne son adresse à un copain. Thomas donne son adresse à un copain. Thomas gives his address to a friend. Or, il lui donne son adresse. He gives him his address. And then, emprunter à. Emprunter à. J'emprunte un livre à mon prof. Emprunte means to borrow, to borrow. I am borrowing a book from my teacher. You can see here in English, for a lot of these, we use the word for, right? We buy something for someone. We borrow from someone. We don't usually use the same word that they do in French, the same word. J'emprunte un livre à mon prof. Je lui emprunte un livre. I am borrowing a book from him. Then montrer, montrer à, to show. Show something to someone. This one we do use to. Je montre mon album de photos à Pauline. Je montre mon album de photos à Pauline. I'm showing my photo album to Pauline. Je lui montre mon album de photos. I am showing her my photo album. Right? So, same thing, we're replacing à plus a person with lui or leur. Then, prêter à. Prêter means to loan or to lend. Marc ne prête pas son portable à son frère. Marc ne prête pas son portable à son frère. Mark doesn't lend his cell phone to his brother. Il ne lui prête pas son portable. He doesn't lend him his phone. All right. And then, if you remember, we talked about me, tu, te, nous, vous, le, la, les in a few different situations, right? In positions in sentence. They're all the same, so I'm going to go through them pretty quickly here. But it's the same for lui and leur, where they go in a sentence. So in the present tense, it goes right in front of the verb. Je lui parle. I am speaking to him, or I am speaking to her. In the negative, same thing. It goes right in front of the verb. It cannot be separated by ne. So, je ne lui parle pas. I'm not speaking to him, or I'm not speaking to her. Okay, right in front of the verb. In the imperative, works the same. It goes directly after the verb, connected by a hyphen in the affirmative. So, parle lui, talk to him, or speak to him, or speak to her. And in the negative, it goes directly in front of the verb. Ne lui parle pas. Don't speak to him. Don't speak to her. Okay, so far, same rules. And that won't change. It's the same rules across the board. So, in an infinitive construction, je vais lui parler. I am going to speak to him. I am going to speak to her. Right? So same thing, it goes right in front of the infinitive in this case. So after whatever the conjugated verb is. Je ne vais pas lui parler. I am not going to speak to him, or I am not going to speak to her. And then in the passé composé, once again, it's the same. It goes in front of the helping verb. Je lui ai parlé. Je lui ai parlé. I spoke to him. I spoke to her. And then, same in the passé composé, can't be separated by the ne, so je ne lui ai pas parlé. I did not speak to him. I did not speak to her. Okay, that's lui and leur. Bottom line, it replaces a plus a person or people. Let us look at your practice. We do not need to add a comment. Okay. So the first one, you are giving gifts. There is not illustrations, so you are making it up. You are looking at the person or people suggested here, and you are saying what you would give them as a gift, okay? Or not a gift, just what you would give them. So, for example, to my uncle, je lui donne une cravate. Je lui donne une cravate. I give him a tie. I give him a tie. Okay? So you're just practicing using lui or leur, and then what you would give them. So the verb for all of these is going to be done. Next one, next example. À mes tantes, to my aunts, je leur donne une tarte aux pommes. I am giving them an apple pie. So you're just looking at the people suggested, saying what you would give them, using either lui or leur. So let's just do this one really quickly so you see what I'm talking about. So the subject is always going to be je, because I am giving something. And then, next up, I need to decide if I'm giving something to him, to her, or to them. Okay, so à ma mère, that's singular, right? So it's to her. So it's lui. Je lui. I to her. And then give, the verb's going to be the same for all of them. Done. I give to her. And whatever I would give my mom. Je lui donne une robe. Give her a dress. But it can be whatever you want. Whatever noun you want to give them is fine. As long as it, makes a little bit of sense. Okay, so that's just practicing choosing lui, choosing leur, and putting it in the right place. Then, the following people need your help. Say, like what you're going to do for them. Use the verbs suggested in the box and the pronoun that fits. So you can see the model here. Nicolas organise un boom. Nicolas is organizing a party. Okay? So you're going to say what you can do for him. So je lui prête mes CD. I lend to him my CDs. Okay? So same thing. You're going to be using je as the subject for all of these. So Catherine veut prendre des photos. Catherine veut prendre des photos. Catherine wants to take some photos. Okay? So je, I. So I want to let her borrow to her. So pretty much just like the model here. Lui to her. Prête. But you'll write the accent mark. Je lui prête. And then what could she use to take photographs? A camera. Un appareil photo. Should be hyphenated. And there, it'll correct me. So that's what you're doing for each of these. You won't always be lending someone something. Remember, you're choosing from this box. So, Paul et Vincent sont malades. Okay, that's two people. Keep that in mind. Always look at the subject to see if is it one person, is it two people. That will make you decide whether you're using lui or whether you're using leur. There is not a key for this one. This one I am going to check for you to make sure that you are doing it correctly. So make sure you turn it in by Tuesday so I can check to make sure you understand everything that's going on. That's it for this video. Next video, we're going to be talking about what we do if there's a direct object, so me, te, nous, vous, le, la, les, and an indirect, lui and leur, in the same sentence. Let me know if you have any questions, send me an email, and au revoir.